I've talked a lot recently about the idea of affinity marketing. And so, what I mean by that is the idea of creating that unbreakable bond between you, your prospects, your clients, your customers. That way, they have a deep relationship with you, and whenever you're ready to sell them something, they want to hop on it right away. Today I want to teach you the exact 4-part breakdown that I've created so that you can create that, what I call business persona, and the best way that you can portray it so that throughout your emails and throughout your sales pages, you can motivate people to buy your stuff because they like you so much. Welcome back to the Bonaventure MS Digital Marketing Show. My name is Jonathan, and today we're going to talk about your business persona. Now, like I mentioned, I've broken this down into 4 parts. It's something pretty recent that I came up with, so I hope you don't mind me checking my notes during the video, but I hope that you get some value from this nonetheless. Now I'm just going to hop right into it because it's a lot of content, lots of questions, and a lot of reflection for you to do on your end while you're building up this business persona of yours. So the first part of your business persona is your backstory. And now your backstory, that's very crucial to, I think that's the most pivotal aspect of your entire persona. Because that's what's telling your dream clients, your audience, hey, I used to be like you, but here I am now, and this is everything that I went through. It's what makes you relatable, right? And when your audience can identify with you, that's when they believe that you have the solution. Because nobody wants to buy from somebody who is completely different from them, right? Affinity is one of the strongest motivators for sales anywhere. That's why when we do testimonials, we should have a wide variety of people in our testimonials, right? Black, white, man, woman, American, Latino, right? Whatever it is. That way, whoever's looking at your testimonial page can see a little bit of themselves there, right? Whether it's just physical characteristics that's holding them back, like if they're saying, oh, I'm short so I can't do this, and then you get a testimonial of a short guy dunking, or they say, I'm a woman and I can't do this, and then you have a woman who's super successful, right? Whatever it is, you want to show that you're like the people who you want to serve. So a few questions that you can ask yourself, and I'm just going to read this straight off my computer, are, who were you before all of this, right? Before you got to the level that you are now, what had to happen? What were the crucial moments, the shifting points for you to get to this place? What was your critical shifting point? What was the one thing that made you realize that you've had enough with the way that you used to live, and that's what started your whole journey? Where did you fail, and how did that force you to rethink what you would have to do to succeed? Why is it that you do what you do? And finally, who else in your life has been affected by your journey, whether positively or negatively, right? So by tying all of that into, ideally in your first email sequence, when you're presenting yourself and when you're telling your audience about who you are, what you do, why you do it, that's where all of this comes in. And that's making you relatable so that come time to sell, your audience actually wants to buy what you have. Now moving into part 2, we have parables. Parables are like stories that teach a lesson. If you look in the Bible, the Quran, whatever religious texts, everything is broken down into stories, and that's because the way that the human mind works is that we can better understand things and we have a better idea of what we've been told. If we're able to relate it back to a story, we can remember it better and it hits us on a deeper level. If you want to read a good book about this, Lisa Crone wrote Wired for Story. I highly recommend it. It'll teach you all about this, and it's pretty thick, so I don't have time to go into everything that it talks about here. But I'm sure that you'll love that if you enjoy writing and if you enjoy psychology and you want to understand how to better present who you are and what it is that you do, right? So if you think about it, everybody really, Jesus, Muhammad, Adolf Hitler, taking a bad example, right? Gandhi, Alexander the Great, Julius Caesar, they all worked in stories. And the reason why they amassed such a huge following is because they were able to motivate people towards that end goal by telling them the stories of how everything happened, how everything's going to be, and drawing that neurological connection and placing the steps along the way for them, right? Does that make sense? Perfect. So try to think of, I'd like to say, between 3 and 5 stories that you can use to demonstrate why it is that the person who's now a part of your audience would need what it is that you have to offer. Tell them about a time when you needed it or would have needed it. Tell them about the time when you realized what it was, learned about it, and succeeded because of it. If you have somebody else in your life who you know who got whatever goal, this works really well if you're trying to do affiliate stuff, right? If you're trying to promote someone else, you can talk about their journey, their discovery, whatever it is, right? Just think of a few stories, and ideally they'll be centered around what you're trying to sell, right? It's not just storytelling to tell stories, it's storytelling to give value to your product or your offer. Moving on from that, part number 3 is your character flaws. So your character flaws, super important. And this is something that most people miss because we hate to be vulnerable, right? Especially to strangers on the internet. There's probably nothing worse than opening ourselves up for a lot of reasons. Fear of getting rejected, fear that people are going to think negatively about us. But really, displaying your character flaws openly is going to do 3 things for you. 1, it's going to show that you're the type of person who cares enough to reveal yourself and to reveal the true aspects of who you are. So that's a big bonus when people see that. But also just business related, it's going to help your audience see that you're not perfect, right? Because nobody wants to take help from somebody who they see as being on a pedestal, because then whatever they've achieved is out of reach for the people below, right? If I go into the dating world and I'm like, yeah, I'm super handsome and I'm ripped, and all you need to do is be more like me and that's how you're going to get women, then every guy who's not 6'2", super jacked up, is going to tell themselves, he can do it, but I probably can't. Whereas if I go into the dating world, I'm overweight, I'm 5'2", and I'm like, look at all these hotties, then every guy who is, I'm going to say most guys who are taller, better looking than that, they're going to look at that and say, well, if he can do it, I can too, right? So that's one of the primary purposes of revealing your character flaws. Another is, again, just create more affinity, more relatability, so that people who see you can relate to the stories that you're telling, the failures that you've experienced, and they can double down on whatever it is you're telling them to do, because you're saying it's okay if you've been through all of this, or if you experience all this, or if you're like this, because I did too, or I am too, and I was able to get here anyway, right? So think about the things that set you apart, but in a negative way, right? Some challenges that you faced that you weren't able to overcome, sometimes that you failed really bad, when there was adversity and you just didn't manage to overcome it. Times when you gave up on your dream, times when things were a little bit too tough for you, right? Just any experience of failure or disappointment, or any time that you were hurt by what you were trying to do, all of those bring in the negative emotions, show people that you're normal, you're like them, and that's going to motivate them to follow you even more. The last part of building out your business persona is polarity. And polarity is incredible for setting you apart from your competition, right? Now, a lot of people have disdain towards the idea of polarity because they tell themselves, if I go out and I take a strong stance for or against something, then people who see that are going to be like, yuck, look at that guy, he doesn't believe in what I believe in, or look at that girl, she believes this thing and it's completely stupid, so they're going to lose their audience. But that is actually the opposite of the truth. The truth is that when you polarize your audience, you are pushing away, yes, the people who don't align with your views, but you're becoming extremely magnetic to the people who do align with your views, right? So when you come out and you take a stance against something that's really popular in your industry, or you take a stance on something that you really fundamentally believe. Let's say I'm against the whole woo-woo mystical side of life coaching, and I think that that's just completely ridiculous. I don't like the idea of positive thinking. I don't like the idea of like wishing that you're gonna be better, visualization. I'm all about practical strategies. And I come out and I say that, then all of a sudden I've got all these people who don't believe in that side of things that are drawn towards me, and everyone else is gone, right? So I've just created this huge field of magnetism for anyone who believes the same thing as I do, which is great because you only want to attract your dream clients anyway, right? But again, same goes for the other side. If I'm all about that and I hate all of the practical advice stuff and I just say I'm going to manifest whatever I want to do, and that's what I teach, then I'm drawing in everybody who believes that same stuff. I'm pushing away everybody who doesn't, and now all these people are more attracted to me, right? So take a stance on something that you truly believe, something that you're willing to put your neck out for, and you'll see that even though you do get a lot of negative feedback, you'll also get a lot of positive feedback, right? You're gonna throw yourself out there. That's the only way to do it, but you have to balance, right? Don't just pay attention to what the negative people are saying. Also pay attention to all of the people whose lives are changing. And this is really just a marketing rule in general. Whenever you do anything, people always hate on you. And it can be tough, like waking up every day, looking through your messages, looking through comments on Facebook, things like that, and seeing people like, oh, that's stupid, you're an idiot, stop doing that, stop trying. And it can really start to get to you because usually the positive voices are going to be silent. They aren't going to come out and actively encourage you. But every once in a while, you're going to have someone who comes out and tells you that you changed their life, or that you did something for them that they would have never been able to get elsewhere. And if you just focus on those and completely ignore everything else, then you'll see that your mindset's going to shift, and you're going to realize how important what you're doing truly is, no matter how much hate you're receiving on the other end. So on that, I'm gonna leave you. If you have any questions or comments, let me know. Leave me a comment, send me a direct message. I'll be more than happy to get back to you. Have an amazing day, and I'll see you tomorrow.